Hi everyone, welcome to the Lacanian chalkboard. And today we're going to talk about the Lacanian subject. I will, for this video, use the origin of the subject in psychoanalysis for a specific point I'm making in differentiating the Lacanian subject from any other category. But introduction is necessary for this video. And the question that has been driving my research for a long time is that of what can psychoanalysis offer in the age of neurobiological knowledge. And now, the age of neurobiological knowledge, I'm not aware that anyone has um, coined this term, but I call it because the cerebralization, it's something that is happening. We often see those correlations between brain activity and human affairs being stated as a certainty. Although I do believe in the neuroscientific research, this is not the point here. There are plenty of important things happening in neuroscience. It's precisely based on this the level that neuroscience has reached that I find it important to delineate what can psychoanalysis provide. And of course, this question opens uh, different ones. For example, what or which psychoanalysis uh, are we talking about? But we're not going to answer that today specifically, maybe partially. And one question also arises from this level of the neuroscientific or neurobiological knowledge, and how far can it go? How far can it go? It's not about psychiatry anymore only. The inconsistency of the DSM, I think, has been stressed enough, although the DSM does survive with the legitimacy of, I don't know, science and the medical authority. But we know the problems that come with the DSM conventions taken as natural objects in the world, moral assumptions. Now the problem is a different kind, is of a different kind. The brain and its functions as autonomous entities, or the brain as a autonomous entity. The neurobiological elements, source of human affairs of all kinds. If the expectations of neuroscience will uncover the source of grief, for example, we don't know yet. And for the meantime, there are plenty of arguments to think that they won't. Right or wrong, neuroscience reached a point where its development prevents a theory such as the Lacanian theory or their branches, meaning ways of interpreting Lacan, from having any authority on speaking about biology, neurobiology. I'm aware that there are projects such as neuropsychoanalysis, which I believe is its own thing, and it's mainly based on Freud. with Mark Solms. What one would see as a brain related type of stress, for us in a psychoanalytical Lacanian clinic, the stress can only work as a particular inside that case in relation to another signifier. So this question of what can psychoanalysis offer in the age of neurobiological knowledge, the way I see, can only be answered for now by defining the reach of psychoanalysis and by developing it in opposition to neuroscientific knowledge. Now, to be in opposition to something is not to deny something, it's to provide a different take. When we position psychoanalysis in opposition to psychiatry, we shouldn't be saying that medicines don't have effect on the brain, that medicines didn't help people. I believe we should be saying that in opposition to that treatment, we have psychoanalysis. So, to develop psychoanalysis in opposition, in opposition to medical knowledge, which today tries to recover its scientificity through neuroscience, psychiatry as well. Now, one of the central concepts in Lacanian psychoanalysis is the subject, a concept that is often confused with other categories. For example, it's not hard to find texts, articles that will say something in those lines. The subject must implicate himself or herself in what she or he, what they are complaining. So the subject must implicate himself and herself in their suffering. So she or he, the ones who are complaining, can have some kind of improvement. Now, you go from the subject to she or he easily, without no regard for the specificity that the Lacanian subject has. He and she and the subject are not equal. See, if they are, I don't know what else, but can we actually offer? So, Lacan was the first to introduce the term in psychoanalysis, subject, and its use is identical to its use in colloquial French, sujet, an issue, a topic, a subject matter, exactly like in English. Now, then we have the first connotation, the first meaning of subject as the anthropological subject, a subject that will count units in a research study, for example, a necessary movement, so we could not call men anymore, men or women, as subject. It's quite easy for us to believe that the individual is a subject. It's intuitive. And that's what we need to fight in psychoanalysis, intuitive thinking. Then we have the linguistic, the subject predicate. And there's an example in the book I referenced, and the author says, they will never give up, they will fight until the end. So, referring to a people, a group of countries. We have the philosophical one, which Latin is subjectum, the hypokaimon in Greek. And here we risk identity. This would be something that grounds, something underneath, something substantial that would lead us to identity, something that Lacan avoided pretty much his whole teaching. His thing was always that A is different from A. So we have other concepts like person, time and space. That person is there right now. We have the biological, the individual, which pertains to the realm of DNA, fingerprints. We have the citizen, which pertains to the realm of the passport, ID. And then we finally have what Lacan, this should not be here, but here we are. What signifier represents to another signifier. The subject is in this beyond, this gap. It can never be identified. Is what Lacan calls his stupid existence. There's a conference, Baltimore, in 1966, where Lacan is telling us, well, we need a structure to conceive of any subject, and this subject is in a mixing of otherness, alterity. Subject in a mixing of otherness. What is desire in one is demand on the other, demand on the other, desire on the other. Demand in one, desire on the other. So the whole system of ideas Lacan promoted, developed, is in this relation to the other. So if the subject is none of what I was saying previously, we can maybe think of three possible ways of conceptualizing the subject between analyst and analysand. Something emerges as a clinical text. The subject between knowledge and truth, the Mobius strip. So, analysand, analyst, the subject, and the Mobius strip, and S1, S2. It's a very helpful clinical tool to avoid any biologization, any potentiality of the subject. Why? Because we have a theory capable of avoiding anatomical aspects, biological aspects. In this book, further gives an example: adolescence. If it was up to Freud, adolescence has to do with the body's development, sexual organs, and hormones. For us, adolescence is a cultural process. It's rebellious. Adolescence doesn't happen in all cultures that are not inserted in a specific set of conditions. And this is a powerful tool also because a woman and a man inside an analysis should not be taken as having meaning, but as signifiers. Lost my job. Job? So, if the subject is none of that, those are three options that will keep us inside a conceptualized rigor, discipline, and at the same time will help us to steer away from organicism, biologism, cerebralization. I hope you liked this video. If you did, comment, share, do whatever you gotta do. I don't remember. And thank you very much for watching.